What if Padme Amidala survived Episode 3? Not just lived through childbirth, but survived long enough to change the fate of Anakin Skywalker, the Empire, and the entire galaxy. After Mustafar, Padme is rushed into medical care by Obi-Wan and Bail Organa. The droids can't explain why she's fading, but the truth is simple. She isn't dying of heartbreak, she's being drained through the Force. Palpatine, sensing her connection to Anakin, has been slowly feeding on her life energy to keep Vader alive. Once Anakin is sealed inside the armor, the drain stops. Padme lives. Weak, traumatized, and heartbroken, Padme gives birth to Luke and Leia. To protect them, Bail and Obi-Wan decide on the same plan as before. Separate the twins and hide them. But Padme refuses to disappear completely. Instead, she fakes her death publicly, while secretly going into exile under Bail's protection. And unlike the official timeline, Padme knows the truth. She knows Anakin is alive, she knows he is Darth Vader, and she knows that somewhere beneath the armor, he is still the man she loved. As the Empire rises, Padme becomes a ghost. Officially dead, she operates in secret, quietly reconnecting with senators who fear Palpatine's grip on the galaxy. Mon Mothma, Bail Organa, others who sense that democracy has already died. But Padme doesn't just work politically, she watches Vader. Through smugglers, spies, and whispers in the underworld, Padme tracks his movements. Entire systems fall, Jedi are hunted, and Vader becomes the Emperor's living symbol of fear. But something doesn't add up. Every time Vader is close to crushing a rebel cell completely, he hesitates. Survivors slip away. Targets escape. Padme realizes something terrifying. Anakin is holding back. Years pass. Luke grows up on Tatooine. Leia is raised as a princess of Alderaan. And Padme lives with the guilt of knowing that if Anakin ever learns the truth, the children will be in danger. Eventually, the Force itself pushes events forward. Padme and Vader finally cross paths. Not in a grand duel or public spectacle, but in the ruins of a neutral world crushed under Imperial occupation. Vader senses a presence he hasn't felt since Mustafar, one that cuts through the dark side like a blade. Padme. When he sees her, the galaxy shifts. Vader freezes, his breathing stutters. The woman he believed he murdered stands before him. Alive. The Emperor lied, or worse, used her. Padme doesn't run, she doesn't scream. She tells him the truth. She survived. Their children survived. And the empire he serves is built on lies meant to keep him enslaved. Vader is shaken in a way nothing else has ever done. From that moment on, Vader's loyalty fractures. He continues to serve the Emperor on the surface, but in secret, he begins sabotaging Imperial operations. He feeds Padme information, allows rebel leaders to escape, diverts resources away from key systems. The early rebel alliance grows faster, stronger, and more organized than in the original timeline. But Palpatine notices. The Emperor senses Vader's conflict and traces it back to Padme. He realizes she is the anchor tying Anakin to the light, and orders her eliminated. This forces the final confrontation early. Palpatine lures Padme into a trap, knowing Vader will follow. What he doesn't expect is Vader arriving with intention, not as an apprentice, but as a traitor. The confrontation explodes into chaos. Padme confronts Palpatine politically and emotionally, exposing his manipulation of the Senate, the war, and Anakin himself. And when Palpatine moves to kill her, Vader finally chooses. He turns. Years before Return of the Jedi, Vader attacks his master. The duel is brutal and unbalanced. Palpatine is still stronger, but Vader is no longer fighting for power. He's fighting for freedom, and for Padme. Together, they manage the impossible. Palpatine is gravely wounded and forced into hiding, the illusion of his absolute control shattered. The Empire fractures overnight as systems rebel, Moffs turn on each other, and the Senate realizes the Emperor is not invincible. Anakin Skywalker does not survive this unchanged. He doesn't become the man he once was. Too much has been lost. Too many lives ended by his hand. But he steps away from the Sith. He abandons the title of Darth Vader. Padme becomes the heart of the new rebellion, not as a soldier, but as a leader who understands both tyranny and hope. Luke and Leia grow up knowing the truth. Not legends, not myths. But their parents, flawed, broken, and trying to make things right. In this timeline, balance doesn't come through one final sacrifice on the Death Star. It comes through endurance, through truth, through Padme Amidala surviving long enough to remind Anakin Skywalker that love, not fear, was always his greatest strength.